We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for the Virtual Coffee Connection. And let's dive right in. David, what would you like us to accomplish today?
I'd like for you to talk a little bit about the 530 grid, the box for the ask key questions.
No. All right. So, do you have the Action Vision worksheet on that one yet?
I'm not sure if I do.
Maybe not. So what you can do is Anita can go ahead and work on getting that for you. And that will give you additional things to go ahead and kind of visualize to kind of work on. So just as a preliminary, in box one, you have identified targets. Box two is develop and deliver a message. That generates a lead. Once we get a lead, we want to track 100% of the leads. That's tracking key information, all that kind of stuff. Then you have asking key questions. Now, in asking key questions is what we want to do is the asking of the question helps to open up the mind. So it's ask a question and tell a story. So I'm going to bring this up here. Oh, four. All right. So in asking the question, there are different types of questions that you can ask. So typically, I like to go ahead and follow kind of a 30-minute strategy session. And this can be used for sales of products or services, or it can be used for developing referral partners. I believe you are focused in on developing referral partners. Is that correct? Or distributors?
Yeah, distributors. Okay.
Yeah. And so the same concept can be applied for distributors, referral partners. It can be applied to customers, any of those type of things. And it doesn't have to be exactly like this, but I like to use this as a framework. And so the first 3 minutes so you have kind of level one, level two, and level three questions. And level one questions are really where you're creating interest. It's the setup. It's like the pickup line. It's like why, what's going to get them interested in talking to you. So the whole objective of the first 3 minutes is, so a lot of times in business, we say, we do business differently than others in our industry, but our sales presentation sounds like it's the same thing. It sounds like we sound like we're the same people as our competitors. And so talk to your Action Vision coach about customization of these, because they may be similar or they may be very different. So in referral partners, what I would do, and I did this early on in my career from the age of 23 to 27, where I was a mortgage loan officer. And so I worked with realtors, builders, financial planners, accountants, anyone that's dealing with a consumer. So I had to sell to the realtor, let's say, and then the realtor introduced people and I had to sell to the consumer. So it's kind of a double sell. And so with the realtor, I'd go ahead and say, we do business a little differently than others in our industry. And what we do is we have a kind of a three-step process to determine if or how we might be able to help work together in building our businesses, mutually beneficial together. And they'd be like, okay, that's interesting. So step one is to do the examination. So no doctor is going to give you a prescription without doing an examination. Same thing is true with us. We don't know if we can help you, you can help us, if we can work together, until we get to know you better. Step two is potential solutions. And then step three is implementation. So the 3-step process is examination, solution, and implementation. Does that make sense? They'll be like,
yeah,
that makes that makes sense. So you're continuing. See, once you get the kind of scripting down, it shouldn't sound like scripting. It sounds like Mark's been doing this for a while. Like this is not his first presentation. So yeah, in 23, 24, 25 is when I figured out there's a better way to do this than what I was trained in. So then I say, now in the examination, be a simple short series of questions, or it can be a much more comprehensive, thorough assessment. It's really, up to the individual. And solutions, people tend to like three types of solutions, kind of a basic, intermediate, and advanced. And then on implementation, some people like to implement, very quickly. Other people take a longer period of time. We always customize whatever working relationship we have for the mutual benefit of you and us together, making sure we're gaining a lot of benefit. So with your permission, what I'd like to do is just ask you a couple questions to start with. And they'll be like, okay, yeah. And I say, so what would you say the biggest challenge you're facing in any area of your business might be? And then I listen very, very, very carefully. So that doesn't have anything to do with my products or service. I don't want it to. What I want it to do is I want them to understand I'm not just about selling my products or services or them selling them or that kind of stuff. I'm not just interested in the business. I'm interested in them. So they would say, here's my biggest challenge. And 33% of them will say time. So this was Anita's, thing that she wanted to, which is a great segue into it. So a third of them will say time. So, I don't have enough time. Whatever they say, you go, that's interesting. And put your right hand to your chin and go, that's interesting. Tell me more. And then you listen. The question without question, the questions are really important, but the ability to listen to what they're saying, not just the words, but the energy too. So a lot of salespeople, a lot of business owners, they're thinking so much about what's the next thing that they're going to talk about, what's the next thing that they're going to say, how are they going to respond, what are they going to do, that they're not listening. And you have to listen carefully. You have to listen to energy and feel the energy. And so then they tell me, and I say, that's interesting. Tell me more. And then they tell me more, and I go, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And normally I'll write it down too. Say, now, if anybody could help you in any area of your life, what would you love help with? Now, people change this, and they shouldn't change it because this is like decades of fine tuning. So if anyone, so I'm not saying me, if I can help you, I'm not volunteering. I don't know what they'd love help with. So if anyone could help you in any area of your life, what would you love help on? And if you're being able to see the video, like Mark's leaning forward, he's leaning in, like his energy, like, I am really interested in you. I'm really interested in finding out more about you. And they tell me what they love help with. And I say, okay, that's interesting. Tell me more. So people will tend to talk a lot about themselves and their business, which is a good thing, right? Because we want to find out how our products or services are going to help them solve their biggest challenge. They're not directly connected. We have to connect the dots to say, you work with me, I'm going to help you solve your problem. I'm going to help you get what you love help with. And then I get those and I listen and I say, and there's different versions of this. Again, talk to your Action Vision coach about this. You could ask, you could start with, who's your ideal prospect and why are they your ideal prospect? So that's something else you could do. Then what's hardest for people to do is the next piece. And that is kind of a weird question, but one that helps me to understand you and kind of fun. Which of these four shapes would you tend to like the most? A cube, a pyramid, wavy line, or ball? And I'll say it fairly quickly the first time, then I'll say it again. So which of these four shapes would you like the most? A cube, a pyramid, wavy line, or a ball? And I'll say it slower the second time. And they'll tell me, maybe the cube. And I say, that's great. Next, after that, the pyramid, wavy line, or ball. And they might say wavy line. And then I'd say, okay. And after that, the pyramid or the ball. So they give me the first three. What that does is that creates tremendous curiosity. And when you learn personalities, which you'll do through the Action Vision coaching, when you learn personalities, you're able to, in 17 seconds, know more about the individual than they know about themselves. So you know their strengths, weaknesses, what they like, what they don't, turns them on, turns them off, if they're married, who they're married to, conflict marriage, what to say, when to say it, how to say it. You know more about them, again, in 17 seconds than they know about themselves. And that's a geometric psychology. So once you learn that, once you get that from them, you say, okay, next, like which of these four things would cause you the most frustration in any area of your life? Things not being done properly in order, out of control, boring or not fun, or conflict with others. Again, which of these four things would cause you most frustration? Out of control, out of order, out of control, boring or not fun, and conflict. I always say them in the same order. So mentally, I'm getting a grid on what it is. And so if they say, out of control, I know then I say out of order, and next, out of order, boring or not fun, or conflict. If they say, boring or not fun, I say, and next after that is going to be out of order or boring or not, or conflict with others. So that gives me, so that now I'm sounding like somebody else. And don't worry about it coming across as smooth as what I'm doing. You don't have to. You don't have to do it perfect the first time or the second. I still don't do it perfect. So you just do the best you can, and each time you get better. So you get those, and that's going to be kind of level one and moving into level two. Level one questions are designed to get them intrigued and interested in you. If you show them that you're interested in them, they will be interested in you, almost guaranteed. Level two questions, these are going to be customized specifically for you and your industry and your products and your services and what you're looking at. The goal in that 11 minutes there of questioning is to determine if they qualify to work with you, if they're a good prospect, a good referral partner, a good distributor. And so, again, you work with your Action Vision coach to determine what those next 11 minutes of questions are. Level three questions are going to be 16 minutes. So between the 3, 11, that's 14, 16, that's a half an hour. Level three questions are going to be designed to move them into, if you want them, if you want to partner with them, if you want to sell to them, if you want to have them as a distributor, those kind of questions are moving or leading questions that will get them to sign on the dotted line, to agree to go out and buy your products or distribute your products or a referral with you, whatever it is. And so that's going to move. The last two questions you always ask at the end of level three. So whatever questions you come up with, level one, level two, level three, the questions the second to the last question you always ask this. This is there any other questions that we should have asked that we didn't ask, or any additional information we should know that we don't know? So always, that's the second to the last question. Is there any additional information? Is there any additional questions we should have asked that we didn't ask, and or additional information we should know that we don't know? The reason for that is that what you're doing is you're looking to make sure that they don't have a question they think you should have asked. Because if they have a question they think you should have asked that you didn't ask, they're not going to be thinking about the solution that you're going to present to them. So in the 530 grid, you have box 4 asking key questions. The next level out, level 2, is presenting a solution. So there's an absolute science to this. Again, every time you do it, you're going to get smoother at it. It's going to sound more natural. It's going to go forward. So that's the second to last question. The last question, so you listen to them and they say, well, yeah, it'd be good to know this, or yeah, you could ask this question. You ask that question, you go ahead and get that information. And then you say it again. You say, is there any other questions that we should have asked that we didn't ask, or any additional information we should know that we don't know? You keep asking that question until they say, no, I think you got it all covered. Because most salespeople, they're making a mistake because they're moving to the solution and they haven't done a good examination. So the prospect, the referral partner, the distributor, whatever that is, they're not trusting you. So if you go for the solution before they trust you, you're probably going to go ahead and not get the sale, not get the yes. The last question that you ask is, after you get all of that, the last question you ask is, so do you have any questions for me? And when it's like a piece of art. When you do those 30 minutes of questions, it's about 27 minutes. questions because you wait for the last two to ask those. When you do that, people say, yeah, like, what's the next step? Not always 100%, but a lot will say, yeah, what's the next step? What do I need to do next? So you work on that level one, level two, level three. You might say, well, what's level four? Level four going to be for the analytic personality and the amiable. So when you look at the analytic and amiable personalities, that's going to be like the analytic is going to want more information. They're going to want more questions. So they're going to want to find out more additional information. They're going to want to find out, talk to you longer. And the amiable, that's the analytic. The amiable, that's the analytic right there. So they're the ones that choose the cube or out of order. The amiable will choose the ball or conflict with others. And they're going to want to get to know you, like you, and trust you. They're going to spend more time. These two personalities will want to spend a lot more time. The driver personality, out of control, or the pyramid, that personality will tend to go ahead and you can close quickly, get to a yes. Don't talk yourself. If you're an analytic, don't talk yourself out of a sale. And if you're an amiable, don't oversell. Don't over try to relationship. If they're ready to go, then they're ready to go. The expressive, they're going to tend to go ahead and move faster too. So understanding personalities is very, very critical and very, very helpful in what we're doing here. All right. David, does that help you kind of? I know there was a lot we went over on that, but does that kind of give you an idea?
Yeah, it does. I can see that. Yeah, from from listening to you, I can see, or I can from calls, whatever I had with your team, that they are using that strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a strategy that works any like B2B, business to business, or B2C, because what are you? What am I? We're solution providers. We're bringing something of value. Well, if we don't know what we're valuing, then we're just salespeople. We're not bringing value. We're just selling something. And so, but when it's what's called, so there's four types of sales, major types of individual sales. So you have product or service sale. You have money. I have a product. We exchange, money for a product. Then it's a commodity, which means you're not going to, we're looking for the lowest price. The next is relationship selling, where you're developing a relationship. It's not better than product or service, but it's different. Very, very different. Then you have the third level. The next higher level is going to be consultative selling, where you're consulting the individual. What I just explained to you, what I just trained you in, is what's called insight selling. And insight selling, one on one selling, insight selling is the highest form of selling that I've ever experienced. And it's not really selling, it's providing insights. So the rule is if somebody says, wow, that's a great question, three times or more in the presentation, they'll buy anything from you. Literally, in networking or groups, there was one guy once, and we and I were talking. Literally within 3 minutes, he's like, "Mark, man, you ask great questions." He said, and sure enough, he said, "That's a great question. That's a great question. That's a great question." Like literally within the first 3 minutes. And he says, "I don't know what your company is. I don't know what you're selling." He says, "And I don't care. I just want to buy whatever you're selling." Because it's insight. So these things give insight into people. And when you're providing insight into people, that provides tremendous value. So in the worksheet you'll have some diagrams of this, and then it has some of the scripting on it, and then it goes into the level one questions, essentially everything that we did. And again, you can customize it, and then it goes into level two questions and goes through that. And then it talks some about level three, and then it goes into moving forward in the marketing model, and then it goes into level four, and some other resources there, other things that you can do there too. Make sense, David?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Good, good. Well, that'll give you something to chew on for sure. And Anita, you had said, what was it that you said you wanted?
Like with the secret about time, how do you know how to pair tasks like to multitask?
Nice. What we'll do is we'll actually go ahead and take a quick look at the secret about time. So the secret about time, so Life Masteries Institute is a nonprofit organization. It's a 501c3 organization. I do a lot of volunteer and have for, I don't know, 18, 19 years plus. And well, it's actually more than that, because about 20 years ago, 20 years ago, they came to me and they said, Mark, we hear a rumor that you own a number of companies and you have an extra 20 to 30 hours of free time a week, of free time. I said, I do. And they said, could you tell us how you do that? And I explained it to them. I said, well, I do this, this, and this, and this. And they said, that we've never heard anything like that. Would you be willing to go ahead and put together some videos on it? I said, sure, why not? So I did. So I put together 10 videos on that. And so it's now called the 30-day challenge. And so there's no cost to go through it. If you're on Action Vision, obviously you're going to get more out of it, because then you can go through with your coach in saying, how does this work with your personality and how do you do that? Plus, you can use it with your referral partner. So it's a resource you can use with your referral partners. You give it to them. There's no cost to them. You're able to know how to use it. And so day one is going to be, and there's a certificate that you can get. There's different levels of certification. Again, there's no cost to it. It's all through Life Masteries. Day one is the concept of the 3-for-1. It's learning to think differently about time. Day two is the Mach 1. Day 3 is our life vision. These all connect back into saving more time. When we understand and internalize these 10 natural laws, these 10 videos, we're going to have more time. The 5 time management freedom fighters, the 5 H's to success, the 7 T's to stewardship, the next dimension principle 80-20 rule, the 530 grid, and then personality masteries. And so these are going to be all things. Anita's gone through the 30-day challenge. Again, you can talk with your Action Vision coach. Ideally, you're going through with 3 other people or 2 other people. So there's at least 3 people in your group. And they don't have to be on Action Vision. And so you're going through with at least 2 other people going through the secret about time. And so you do 1 video a day. And the average time, some are 14 minutes, some are 3 minutes, but the average time is 6 minutes. So write this down, 1,440 minutes in every day. You have it, I have it, we both have it. There's 10,080 minutes in a week. So if your average video is 6 minutes long and you do, let's say, 4 minutes, you communicate what's called a reflection or manage up and out. So it's a reflection. So you say, what did I think of that video? What did I learn from that video? What action am I going to take from that video, and what do I need to learn next? So that should take you about 4 minutes. It's about 10 minutes out of 1,440 minutes. And so the secret to me, now I own 9 companies and I have an extra 20 to 30 hours of free time a week. And so it's these natural laws that have become part of my DNA. So Anita's been through it. So now she's asking, okay, the application of it. And so, Anita, are you looking at prioritization of task, or are you looking at leverage of these natural laws or task, or are you looking at like combining tasks together to go ahead and become more productive? Which one of those 3, or which ones of those 3 were you kind of looking for?
Probably the last one, like combining them to be more productive.
Okay. So the challenge in this story is that a lot of times people have a hard time connecting dots. So I don't understand this. And so the principle is true, even if you might not be the same. So the principle is what's true. And so one of my plans on my Action Vision, maybe 25, 30 years ago, was to go ahead and take all my A clients out to lunch. Well, I had A clients around the country, and one of them was out in Denver, and it was Jeff May. And so I was doing coaching with him, and I said, hey, Jeff, and he was one of our top clients. I said, hey, Jeff, one of my actions on my Action Vision plan is to take all my A clients out. You're an A client. out to lunch. He says, "Oh, and I was in the Chicago area, one of the suburbs." He says, "Oh, you're going to be out in Denver." I said, "Well, yeah, but just for you." He's like, "You're coming all the way out just to have lunch with me?" I said, "I am." And he says, "Can't we just get a hamburger and pickles and do it over the phone?" I said, "No, my action vision plan is very clear. It has to be in person." He says, "Well, if you want to do it, you know, okay, you can do it." I flew, so I said, "Okay, I'm going to fly out there for lunch." And I was looking over my action vision plan, and I saw, oh, every 3 months, we had probably 5 kids. I don't know what it was, 3 to 5. Now we have 7. So, so we went ahead and said, so we went ahead and I said, what if I do the combination principle? What if I go ahead and take him out to lunch and then I go ahead and have a long weekend with my wife? And so I started and I started combining them together. And so I did that. And so that's giving it more firepower. That's giving it, so how can I be more efficient? So if you're on a podcast, for example, this podcast, you potentially could be writing or typing a reflection on this podcast. If you have email, like a Google email, you could be having a group. You could be having a group of people that you're sending the email out, this podcast out to. So you could get all of that done in 30 minutes. Now you might say, well, Mark, I don't know if I can pay attention. Well, you're taking notes, you're doing a reflection. So you're going to actually pay more attention because you're writing it down while you're doing it. Now, you might not be able to do that initially, but again, anything we do initially may not work initially, but that doesn't mean it's not going to work long term. Like the first time we tried to ride a bike, it probably didn't work so well. And so, but if we're doing that on a regular basis, we're going to get better at it. So what you're looking for is you're looking for the on combining things to make it more effective in what you're doing. The 5 time management freedom fighters here, the internalization of that. So delegate, systematize, contract out, hire someone, or partner with someone. Should you be doing that activity? Is that the highest dollar productive activity that you're doing? And then is there a way that I could do it in less time with less energy? Is there a way that I can do it more effectively? And so we get burned out not by having too much work or not by having too much stress. We actually get burned out when we get bored. That's when we get burned out. We can get overwhelmed when we have a lot of things going on, but that's not necessarily a bad overwhelm. It stretches us. Like when we're exercising for the first time, we haven't exercised, we're going to get sore. That's not bad. It hurts, but it's not, well, I'm never going to exercise again. It's not that. As we exercise our mind and we become more disciplined in our time, and having the mindset, I can always be more effective, I can always be more efficient. When we have that mindset that we're going to grow, we get better and better. If there's an option for us not to grow, then we probably won't, because we as human beings naturally are going to be lazy. The brain is lazy. That's why people do alcohol, do drugs, do, energy drinks, coffee. I mean, all that stuff. It's so we can go ahead and don't have to work at the energy. We can just have it, eat something, drink something, swallow something, and then all of a sudden we've got all this energy. But it's temporal. It's not natural. Same thing is with the brain. And so a lot of times people around me will say, Mark, when I'm around you, my brain hurts. Well, it's okay. It'll get better. It won't hurt. Like you'll start to connect synapses and start to think faster, and you'll gain more confidence. And you'll say, okay, I can do this, or I can do this, or how can I do it more efficiently? How can I do that? Does that help, Anita?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are out of time and it goes by really fast. If you know somebody that would like to set up referral partners, this would be a great podcast to have them go through with you. Hey, maybe we could work together on this. If you know somebody wants more time, hey, there's a guy that owns 9 companies. This cool half-an-hour podcast, and he's got an extra 20 to 30 hours of free time, and he shared like his secrets, what he's doing. I'd like to go through this podcast with you and listen to it with you, and maybe we can get some ideas on how we can mutually bring benefit, grow our businesses, and save us time. If you have any questions on anything we covered today, feel free to connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300, outside the U.S. 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.